Perhaps the most painful experience a human being can ever endure or encounter is that of mental anguish. Whether it's brought on by an unkind word, a feeling of being alone or loneliness, or just not fitting in, whether it's brought on by a physical pain or a huge imposition, or whether there's just an internal feeling of uncertainty, fear, or being poorly disposed. Mental anguish can burn deeply into the core of anyone. It doesn't have to be a long-term experience. It can be a fleeting experience. The problem is at the time, it can feel like the worst experience one has. And the immediate need is to get rid of that experience. The ideal is to have the strength to be able to overcome the imposition, to ignore the unkind word, or perhaps deal with it, to not feel lonely or alone. But that's not always the case. So when that happens, it's natural. If it doesn't go away immediately, if the feeling stays on, it can even be just a memory that has been triggered by that unkind word or by that experience. There's that desperate need to deal with it, to get rid of it, and that is natural. It is not an illness to have mental anguish. It is part of the human experience. The important thing is what to do when it comes. It comes to everyone. Look back in history. Look back at some of the most prominent people who have walked this earth. Perhaps one of the most common ones that we know of would be the person who established the Christian religion or way of life. He went through mental anguish, and he was considered to be a god. Mental anguish is not abnormal. Not dealing with it can be a problem. And dealing with it by treating it as a disease and getting medication for the mental anguish that occurs when any of these conditions occur is not a solution. Sure, we can stifle it, we can suppress it, but it's there. We still wake up to it. People who use drugs and alcohol is an example. They're not using it because they're bad, or because they're sick, or because they're foolish. It is that desperation to deal with an inner pain that cannot be seen externally, that stays within you. You can't really describe it. Whether it is the person who is trying one of these escapes, one of these soothing, one of these remedies, drugs, alcohol, the escape to partying or gambling, the escape to sex, or even food. You know, the concept of comfort food is not a disease in itself. It is a way of soothing an internal discomfort, a mental anguish that you can't describe sufficiently for other people, for any observer, to recognize the depth of what you may be feeling. And as you describe it, they may think that what you've described shouldn't cause that. And therefore, something is wrong for it to be so painful to you. But it is a personal experience. Mental anguish has to be dealt with. Not the addiction, not the escape, not the method. Because once you use it, the next time you get a situation that either triggers that same condition or replaces it or recreates it, you will reach for the immediate solution that once worked. That is what is considered an addiction, the constant re-reaching for it. It isn't just a stupidity, it isn't just an illness. It is a natural, logical reaction if you do not know how to deal with the conditions that create that mental anguish. And you can see the conditions. Because it is a measure of self. When you feel overwhelmed by a situation, even one that seems to be quite a simple situation to other observers, may be difficult for you. Have you ever had something to do that you did not understand how to do? It is huge, but when you understand it, it seems small. So another observer that is seeing the same situation that is huge to you may wonder, why are you making such a fuss about it? Because it's small. It's only small because that person has understood how to deal with it. So the thing I would like to get to show you here is how to deal not with the behavior, whether it is the behavior of treating the mental anguish with a chemical, or the behavior of trying to get rid of the condition that has caused the anguish. Your reaction to an unkind word with anger. Your reaction to an overwhelming situation by either running from it or perhaps submitting to it. Your reaction to an internal pain by retreating into a state of self-pity or perhaps depression. That is not what needs to be dealt with. That is a natural reaction. What needs to be dealt with is what caused that mental anguish, and the cause of it. It's a very simple measure of self. When you feel uncertain, when you feel indisposed, when you feel poorly disposed, or perhaps even oppressed, that is a balance between what you know and what is challenging you. If you can raise your depth of insight to be above the situation that is challenging you, you will be in a better state to not have mental anguish. But of course, another day you will have it for another condition, and it's quite part of life. We all have it. But knowing that and knowing how to know it is what gives you that leg up. And that is what this whole process is going to teach you. I've put it as a sequence in a website, because although it's not complicated, it can be complex, which means that it would be nice to be able to see it over and over, to be able to examine it, to be able to analyze it, the information that you're getting. I'm not giving you information that comes from me. I'm not giving you information that comes from any particular specific religion. I'm giving you information based on using all of those resources, philosophy, the thoughts and suggestions of great thinkers in the past. People like St. Augustine or Thomas Aquinas or Seneca or Plato. Information from religion. Religion is not just something that imposes on you a method of behavior. It is also a way of looking at life and looking at yourself, if you know how to examine it. And science, even medicine, has shown us how to look at certain conditions that we have to deal with. We have to deal with life. And life comes to us both as conditions that happen in the body, but also as conditions that come from outside, either from the natural reactions of the universe or the reactions of other people to the natural reactions of the universe. That's why this could be complex. However, as it unfolds, it becomes simple. Not because it is simple, but because as it unfolds, you will understand more. And I invite you to go through it. It is free. It is there for you. Please examine it. I'm not asking you to become part of this website. Take it, take what you want from it and leave. If you wish to have some further explanations or depth, you can always click on a request to have a talk with us, and myself or one of my sisters will talk with you. That's it. Very simple. Welcome, and I hope you can use it positively. Okay, just remember, having an addiction is not a death warrant. It is not something that makes you bad or different, so different that you cannot live a normal life. You can live a normal life. All you have to do is go to the source, deal with the situation that caused you to want to use. Because just remember, even in the beginning, happy people don't go and experiment with drugs and alcohol. Oh, they may use it, but they will not give up their happiness just to get this alternative one. Almost everyone who become hooked in that solution has come there because of some form of mental anguish. And remember again, it isn't the size of the problem, because every problem is only huge when your understanding of it and how to deal with it is insufficient. And that's easy to build. Please, let us go through it in a comprehensive fashion, and I invite you to continue. Thank you, and good luck.